Thank you. All right, guys. The attendance tonight was 11,573. The gate was 1,066,610. Fight of the night for $50,000 is Barboza versus Castillo. The knockout of the night is Johnson. And submission of the night is Faber for $50,000. Congratulations to all those guys. Who's got the first question?
Kick things off with Demetrius. Obviously, huge win for you. We knew it was going to be a great fight, but did you envision the fight could go that way?
For me, we've been working a lot of that in camp. The first time I fought Joseph, I was able to display my footwork and make him miss. And tonight, when I was in there fighting, I heard my coaches saying, "Okay, you got his timing, you got his range down. Start selling your feet." And I started to do that, and I just let it go. And I was happy to get to finish tonight.
I know you told me before the fight that you feel like you and Joseph may be attached to each other for a long time. But do you feel like, in a way, this does put the rivalry to bed, at least for a little while, considering how this one ended?
Yeah, but you never know. I'm only 27. Joseph's only 29. I'm pretty sure we plan on fighting for a very long time. So who knows, 10 years down the road, we can end up fighting each other again. You never know.
And I know you're not one to play into the whole, pound for pound, whatever rankings. But, do you feel like this kind of win, along with your last one, really helps define your legacy and what you're doing as a champion? That's 2 big wins in a row, 2 finishes in a row. And I think a lot of people, know how good Joseph Benavidez was going into this fight.
Yeah, if people want to see me as the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, that's totally fine. My job is just to go back to the gym and keep on improving and hopefully, keep on showcasing my skill set, the finishes and knockouts.
And one question for Uriah. Uriah, obviously, huge win for you tonight, amazing performance. Is there any bittersweet feeling, though, when you have yourself and Chad, obviously huge victories, and then you have to see Joseph and obviously Danny go through tough losses as kind of a mentor to those guys? Is it tough? Is it bittersweet at all?
Of course. You're emotionally attached to these guys. These are my brothers, my teammates. But, I don't think, I can sit around and dwell on things. Joseph is got a bright future, and he knows that, and I still feel great about my victory. And I know that it's the way of the game, This is a sport where people get hurt, people get caught, and that's what happened to him tonight with a great champion. So he'll be back stronger than ever, and I'm going to enjoy my night and enjoy the night for Chad, and Danny got fight of the night. So it was a good night all overall, and Joseph will be back stronger.
And last question for you, Uriah. Michael McDonald, number 3 guy in the world, we know what kind of fighter he is. For you to go out there, knock him around on the feet a little bit, then get to submission, do you feel like you have officially put yourself in line to where you should get the winner of Cruz and Barao?
I think so, and I would love to fight either of those guys. I know, I said earlier in an interview that Dana's paid me a great compliment by saying I'm the type of guy that believes I can beat anyone and that I'm ready to fight anyone at any time. And he knows that. Everybody knows that. I'll fight Godzilla. I'll fight King Kong. I don't care, I'm a little delusional about stuff even.
Unfortunately, we don't have them signed.
But, hey, I've done my part. I had a really rough year the year prior. It was a long year for me. I had 1 fight, 1 loss, had a big layoff, broken ribs, personal stuff with my sister and everything else. And it just feels great to be in the win column with 4 big wins, 3 finishes, 1 decisive decision, and having a good time, man.
Dana, for you, obviously I know you don't match make, but these 2 guys look like they could be in line for title shots. Sometimes you get an idea, an inkling. What do you think? Are title shots in line for either one?
Yeah, they look great. Faber's in like this Vitor zone right now. Like, the older he gets, the better he gets. Seriously, if you look at how good McDonald really is, and people were so excited for this fight, he literally shut Michael down the entire fight and finished him. It was a great performance. And as far as Mendez goes, the first 2 minutes and 20 seconds is the Chad Mendez that we know. He went in there and fought with the flu, cold, and every time you fight, especially when you face that type of adversity, imagine going in and fighting with flu-type symptoms or even a cold. It's something you can't even imagine. I have a lot of respect for both of them, and yeah, they're definitely right there.
Chad, can you talk about your performance tonight? Obviously, a convincing win, but you said the illness was kind of a factor.
Yeah, I mean, I had like a bad sinus infection a few weeks ago and just didn't want to take the antibiotics. I mean, we all saw what happened with Aldo when he started taking those for his fight. You know, it definitely messes with your performance. And I was just hoping and praying that that would clear up before. And it started to get better, and then, you know, probably about a week ago, just started getting bad again and actually started moving down into my lungs. So, I mean, after that first round, I could just feel it just felt heavy on my chest. But, I mean, not making any excuses, Nick Lentz is a tough dude, you know. He's definitely a top 10 fighter in the UFC, and you're not always going to go out there and get the finish. But, you know, I did feel great in the beginning, and I think if I would have been able to feel that way just like I did with the Guida fight, I probably could have got the finish, but you never know. So, yeah, I mean, I just found a way to win. You know, I think it's just that champion mentality, and, you know, I've been an athlete my entire life, so I've been through a lot of adversity and just kind of fought through tonight and got the W. So I got to be proud with myself, even though I wasn't 100% happy with my performance. So.
Thanks, Chad. And if I could for you, Demetrius, obviously, you know, this was a number 2 guy in your division as well. I mean, he was right there. Have you started to look outside at what's next for you? This was like the one guy I think we all look to that might have a chance to take your belt. Are there other contenders that you've identified that you think are deserving and ready to be next for you?
You know, that's not my job. My job is to go back home and get ready for the next fight. You know, Sean Shelby and Joe Silva, they do a great job assigning great talent. There's a lot of new guys in the flyweight division. So, you know, I'm focused on just keep on continuing. So the next time, you know, I get the call when we're fighting, hope I can put on another great performance like that.
You're right. It seems like people are buzzing about your performance tonight. I mean, making a guy as good as Michael McDonald look the way you made him. Did this feel like a special performance to you, or was it just kind of like another day at the office, or did you feel sort of on another level tonight?
It felt like a special performance for sure. I've been having a lot of special performances. You know, after the Brow fight, I just went back to the fact that I just love what I do and reminded myself of that. I actually was kind of rope-a-doping in the media tour, though, when everyone's asking about his hands. I really think he has gifts with his hands, and he's impressive. But, I mean, every single time people talk about a guy that's going to outstrike me, Eddie Wineland, Cruz, I don't think Cruz outstruck me. I put him on his butt a couple times, and he never hurt me with anything. You know, Barral's been knocking guys out. I don't really feel like I got beat up by him. You know, I've had just some little mishaps, and I was kind of lulling him into the fact that, oh, yeah, I'm the wrestler and he's a striker. But I knock people down, dude. I'll put someone out. And anybody wants to step up, let's do it.
Can you go back a little bit to that loss to Renan Barão? I mean, I think a lot of people expected you to sort of, you know, maybe not just fade off the map, but that was 3 title losses that you had in 2 years, basically. And that can be a difficult thing to come back from. It can be just mentally, you know, just tough to get back on the horse, and you've never seemed to have a problem with that. Why do you think you're immune to that, and do you just hide it better than guys? Like, did you go through a period where you were a little bit down after that loss?
Oh, no. I'm not a type of guy to dwell on things or feel bad for myself. I can always find something positive and know that, you know, a win or a loss isn't necessarily a defining thing for me. It's something that, you know, my confidence comes from having great parents and having a great life of working hard and getting results. So I don't care about a loss necessarily. Even, you know, I learned a long time ago, I had a year in college where I lost a bunch of matches in overtime, and the next year I won a bunch of matches in overtime. And the difference was I felt great when I won, and I felt like crap when I lost. And I was like, I threw that out the window a long time ago. It's about putting your all out there, understanding that, you know, I get to make my own destiny in this world, and I'm not going to let anyone stop me. So that's the mentality I always have.
And just based on that answer, it doesn't sound like, you know, this is something that would bother you. But has it been sort of like a weird year? I mean, you've had 4 great wins, and it seems like every time you come back, you're kind of answering questions about, like, you know, how are you still doing this? Where's your motivation coming from? Like, you know, can you be, will you be content if you don't win a UFC title? I mean, you're answering those types of questions. Was it frustrating at all? Like, sort of this doubt, I guess, people had about you this year?
It's a little frustrating just because, I mean, what people don't understand about the WEC was that was the UFC for the lightweight fighters, and so that's what it was brought to me as, with the same, Dana was my boss, Lorenzo, it's all the same matchmakers, all the same fighters that are in the UFC that are in now. You know, you have people like Dominic Cruz who, you know, like to say stuff like that to get under my skin, but the truth is, the only difference between the first time I fought him and the second time I fought him is one time he squeaked out a decision, and the first time I finished him. And like I said, because there's rules in mixed martial arts, he's still alive today. He tapped out and let him go. So, you know, that's the difference. That's the only difference. So if you guys want to look at it like that, so be it. But the bottom line is, I've been 11 years in this sport now, at the top of the heap, just by being a workhorse. And these guys know, you know, my positive attitude is something that can't be stopped.
And just real quickly for you, Dana, do you know what I'm referring to? I mean, have you noticed it at all, I guess, on Twitter or just stories, I guess?
People are looking for stuff to talk about,
Yeah.
dude.
So what happened was, it got this thing. I saw a lot of people saying, "Oh, these guys are just looking for excuses to give Uriah Faber a title shot." A couple years ago, that's what people were saying. You know, you can't deny it now. You know, you can hate, you can dislike the guy, you can do whatever you want to do. You can't deny him now. I mean, the kid just looks better and better, and it is what it is.
My loss is to Jose Aldo with a decision. I lost to Barao. I broke my rib 2 minutes into it. I lost to Cruz when I thought I beat him. I lost to Mike Brown with a broken hand. I mean, what do you guys want from me? You know, it's 145 pounds. I'm ready to take on whoever, man. Dana knows that. Everybody knows that.
Question for Demetrius. Demetrius, you've been featured more than any other UFC fighter on Fox, which means that you've been seen by a lot of people who may still have yet to buy a pay-per-view. Talk about punctuating that already high visibility with a real signature knockout tonight, because it seems like for those people, you may have taken that awareness to a new level.
It's awesome. You know, I'm just grateful for the UFC to be able to put me as the headliner 3 times this year on Fox. It's a great platform to fight on, and I love fighting for Fox, and, you know, I'm happy to come out with the finish tonight.
Question for Uriah. Uriah, in the first round, well, it seemed pretty apparent early on that Michael McDonald was hesitant to pull the trigger, which is not always something we've seen from him. Did you sense that in the octagon, and did you think that maybe that first takedown that you landed early on seemed to have that type of effect on him?
You know, I was going to mousetrap him is what I was saying. I made that term up. But it's basically the guy snaps at an opportunity to throw a big combo. So I was going to fake and feint, make him get out of position. The fights that he went to a decision, the last 6 fights, 2 of those he went to a decision. There were smaller guys that had a Muay Thai background, and they were keeping him honest by throwing high kicks. So it's all stuff I wrote down in my little logbook, you know, when I'm writing a game plan. And I wanted to mousetrap him, throw some high kicks, look for opportunities, and then catch him with a big overhand or a big hook, and then submit him. I really had a great showing today. I put together everything I wanted to.
A similar question for Chad. Chad, looked like you might have had a chance to finish the fight in the first round, and of course you had the knockout streak on the line after that. You went to landing the takedowns with regularity. Was that anything that was in your mind at that moment, if you know the streak, or at the moment I may have a chance to finish the fight, and then maybe you shifted to strategies there, started feeling bad, or is that even anything that goes through your mind at that point?
You know, we knew that Nick was the type of guy that you know, he could get hard. I watched a lot of film on this guy for this camp and seen him get hit with some big stuff, hit the canvas, get right back up and keep fighting. So, you know, we knew I just had to be smart if I did rock him, if I hurt him. And I did in the first round. And, you know, I was trying to take his head off. But, you know, I just got to be smart with a guy like that. Nick Lentz is a tough dude. I mean, I honestly believe he'll beat a lot of the guys in the top 10 in the UFC. He's big, he's strong, you know, and he keeps coming. He can take a punch. So, you know, like I said, I had to be smart. I wasn't feeling 100%. Just had to find a way to use, you know, my complete mixed martial arts skills, which is, you know, all my wrestling, my striking, everything. And I feel like I put it together. I just, you know, obviously didn't get the finish. So, like I said, I'm upset a little bit. Just, you know, I feel like I could do a little bit better. But, you know, I got the win. I got to be happy. You know, I watched my brother here, Uriah, put on one of the best shows I've ever seen him fight. I mean, this guy, every time he gets in the cage, just impresses me. So, you know, it sucks for Joe and it sucks for Danny, but, you know, we just go back to the drawing board. You know, it's been a hell of a year for Team Alpha Male. You know, we still got Dwayne here. We're making huge improvements, and I'm excited to see what's next for us next year. So, bring it on.
And one more question for Joe Lozon. Joe, you talked this week about how you wanted a victory over Max specifically to well, make him pay for mistakes in the last fight. Obviously, it was a very dominating performance. Was it everything you wanted it to be in terms of that statement? Do you feel like there was anything from your perspective that was left on the table in terms of getting back in the win column?
I think I fought a great fight. I think that there's a lot of things that we worked on in camp that I executed perfectly. It's a little bit bittersweet because I had a 100% finish rate before this, and now it's the first one that I won by decision. So that's, I guess, good and bad. So I mean, I would have loved to, finish that first arm lock. He just toughed it out. Like I completely popped his arm. I'm sure he'll be in a sling. I popped a few times. He just, refused to tap. So that would have been nice. But I'm super happy about how tonight went.
Question for Demetrius. I just want to know, like, is the third time you defended your title tonight for the third time this year? Can you talk a little bit about how it was this year for you and what you expect for 2014?
It was a great year for me. Had a couple great fights, and I'm happy to come away with a knockout. I got a submission this year and a knockout, and I had a great war. So for 2014, my forecast, hopefully another successful year. I got to go back to the gym. There's still a lot more work I need to prove on, and hopefully we have another great year in 2014.
A question for Ryan. What were you doing when you got the call to step in to take this fight? And what was the experience like fighting a court on short notice?
I was laying on my couch. I got home on Monday from Brazil, and then on Tuesday they gave me the call. I was laying on my couch with my daughter because I haven't seen her. I was in Brazil all week, and then I thought for a second. My manager asked me if I wanted to take the fight. I said, let me call you right back. Let me ask my coaches. And then I tried calling my coach. I couldn't get a hold of him, and I just called my manager back. I said, I'll take the fight. I knew my coach would agree that that I would fight him. So I thought it was a good fight. I was healthy. I've passed up on some big opportunities in the past, and there was no reason for me not to take it. And obviously, it worked out in my benefit.
Question for Joe. Hey, Joe. Good fight. Seemed like the second and third round, the first 2 minutes of each of those rounds, you're really taking your time, and then you'd pour it on the last 3 minutes of both of those rounds. Were you trying to feel them out, or were you trying to?
In the past, I had one of my coaches always says I fight like a pirate with his hair on fire. Just jump board the ship, and just try to finish him as fast as possible. And I do that a lot of times. But I think it's come back to bite me a little bit later on. So try to kind of see what he was going to do. He had completely different game plans each round. In the first round, he was trying to test the water, see what was going on. In the second round, I could hear his corner yelling, straight up boxing. The third round, they were working in a lot more kicks, So I was kind of trying to see what he was going to do, and I was trying to get, I wanted takedowns. My last couple of fights have kind of been a little bit stand-up wars, and people think that I'm trying to have these stand-up wars, and no, I wanted to get takedowns. So it worked out a little bit better, for me to, kind of see what he was trying to do, and then, take him down and get him down the ground. And I think I said beforehand that I felt like, stand-up we were pretty comparable, but I thought I was going to have a pretty good advantage on the ground. And I think that was the case.
TJ, do you think, would it mean a lot to you if you were the fighter of the year for 2013? You're 3-0 in title fights with 2 finishes, and there's a lot of good candidates and still, fight next week. But would that mean a lot to you if you were to win that?
Yeah, of course. It would be awesome to be the fighter of the year for 2013. But my goal is just to keep on getting better and winning fights.
And how much do you think your success is attributed to? You don't get too high or too low. Like you just had a big knockout. Faber's over there smiling and talking, and you kind of got that steady approach. You don't seem to be too psyched about what you did. Do you think that's a key to your success, that you don't get too high or too low at anything?
For me, I always tell it's the way Matt Hume raised me, even when I was an amateur as a fighter. Like I'll win my fights, and then the first thing we do is we'll go back and we'll look at the film. He goes, "You did that wrong. You did that wrong. You could have done that better." And then so it kind of grew on me. So even now that I'm at the pinnacle of the sport and knocking out people who are considered the best fighters in the world, it's just when you go through that for 7 years, it's almost like military style. It's like, okay, there was another fight, go home, relax, and then get ready for the next one and keep on improving, because there's always another person who's going to come try to take what I have.
Thank you. And Dana, more high-profile candidates maybe than Demetrius, but would you say when you look at that 3-0 in title fights with 2 of them finishes and 2 pretty spectacular finishes, especially tonight, do you think he has any argument for that kind of award, even given the Vitor Belforts and the other people, Chris Weidman if he beats Anderson again, that kind of thing?
Yeah, there's no doubt he should be in the running for that. Again, tonight going in there fighting a guy like Benavidez. Benavidez is nasty, and he's the one that usually knocks people out. And in this fight, Benavidez was doing great right up until he got knocked out. He was very aggressive. I thought the first time he was trying to load up too much and looking for that knockout punch instead of putting punches together. And today he looked good, which you know how bad he wanted it, and he knew he was getting the second opportunity. So it just makes Mighty Mouse's win that much bigger.
Question for DJ. You and Joseph, despite the rivalry, I know you guys have kind of become buddies, friends outside the cage. Is it tougher going through that when you knock out a guy like that? Obviously, it's kind of a scary knockout. I know you got to celebrate, and then he was still down. I know you went to check on him. I mean, is there any of that in the back of your mind? It's kind of hard to go through that when it's such a dramatic finish that way, and it's somebody I know you like.
Yeah, absolutely. I like Joseph. He's a great guy. Hope down in the future when we're both done fighting, hopefully we can come together and train together and share our secrets, what's made us successful. And I apologize about celebrating. I didn't expect that to happen between me and him tonight. And I hope Joseph's okay, and I know he's going to come back even stronger. And my condolences to him.
Dana, I talked about earlier with the whole pound-for-pound rankings with DJ. For some reason, he doesn't seem to get the same respect as a John Jones or, whoever. But do you feel like he's now earned that? I mean, the last fight being the submission, this one being the knockout. I mean, should we be talking about him in that
You're
top
preaching
5?
to the choir. Yeah, you're preaching to the choir, and I don't make those decisions. You guys do. You're asking me a question on something that you guys vote on. That's up to you. You're preaching to the choir here. People are talking. I listen to this stupid shit all the time from, the 55-pound division could never headline. Then these guys can, and this guy can't, and all these guys can't. And this fight's not going to be good, and that fight's not going to be good. I mean, I don't even know what to say. If you're a fight fan and you watch fights because you like watching fighting, you judge fights when they're over. When a guy, it doesn't matter if a guy is as big as he is or as big as Mark Hunt is. Everybody deserves their due and their respect and how talented they are and what they're able to do. And, maybe it's all the negative feedback and things that have, that drive these guys and make them want it even more. Same thing. And I'm actually guilty of this too with the women. When I was saying I didn't want women to fight in the UFC because of the fight that I saw up in California. And now look at the women, and now we're bringing in another women's division, and it's all good stuff. 2013 has been an amazing year. I would have to say that 2013 has been the best year we've ever had as far as fights go. Normally you would think that somebody that's been in the business as long as I have, you start to get desensitized by the fights, but I don't. And it's been an awesome year. I mean, the Silva Hunt fight, I was going insane over that thing. There's just been so many great fights this year. And no disrespect to the rest of the year, but I can't wait for the 28th, man. I keep saying it to you guys, and I know there's a whole card of fights that night, but all I keep thinking about is Anderson Silva and Weidman and those lights going out and those two walking in the arena, and it's been a great year.
And one question for Joe. You always talk about, everyone always asks you, bonuses, exciting fights, blah, blah, blah. But tonight you went out and just put on a really dominant one-sided performance, good on your feet, great on the ground. Do you feel like this was, maybe one of your best performances, even though you didn't get a finish and you didn't get a bonus, but you went out there and really dominated a guy? And, you said earlier in the week, you're not going out there to have exciting fights. You go out there to submit or beat a guy. Do you feel like tonight was kind of that statement that you can go out there and just dominate a guy?
It's nice that the swelling is isolated to a nice little spot on my forehead instead of my entire face. But, I mean, I was trying. I think I dropped for an arm lock from mount. I mounted him every single round. I went for arm locks, I think, every single round. I went for an omoplata. I went for all kinds. I tried to triangle him. I'm trying to finish. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not. I remember, like, in the third round, I knew that I had the first. I knew I had the second. I hope. Judges are bad sometimes. I knew I had the first. I knew I had the second. I was pretty sure I had the third, and even though it was a short time, and I still went for the arm lock. I could have just coasted and just, taken it easy. But
And from the mount. You had the mount several times. It could have stayed there,
Yep.
and then still went for arm bars. Nobody does that anymore.
You know what I mean? So I try to. I try to lead the submission brigade, I guess. You know what I mean? Just go for things, you know. But you know, I try to go after it. You know, I want to submit guys, not even just for the bonus, but just because, like I said, I ruined my 100% finish rate, percentage tonight. But you know, I'm gonna try and keep it high now. I just got to try and keep it as close to 100 as possible.
For Chad, when your sinus infection started coming back, I mean, did it kind of change your game plan and your thoughts in the last week, or did you kind of come in and you just kind of, once the fight started, you were going to do what you were going to do?
Honestly, I just try to ignore it, man. I mean, at this point, there's nothing I can do about it. I just tried to act like it wasn't even there. But, I mean, it is what it is, and got through it, man. Got the W, so.
Yeah. I mean, you pretty happy that, you know, all things considered, at least you came out with a win over a tough guy?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that could have went bad, could have went worse in that fight. I mean, I could have lost. That in itself is way worse. So, I mean, I got the W. I feel like I was just all around, you know, still doing well, just wasn't my 100% self. And, you know, I'm just going to take a little time, get a little better the next week or two, and, you know, back at it. So, oh, yeah.
And Dana, on Thursday you said that you might have something to announce today. I mean, do you have anything to announce today, or is it not ready yet?
Yeah. So what I was going to do is you know, everybody knows that Johnny Hendricks will fight Robbie Lawler for the vacant welterweight title in Dallas. So I was trying to make Carlos Condit versus Nick Diaz, and Nick Diaz turned the fight down tonight. He doesn't want it. Because I don't want it. You know, Nick, he didn't want the fight. You know, I thought that that he wanted the rematch, and you know, number 10 versus number 1. If he won that fight, he'd be in a position to. He said, "No, I'm not interested."
So is he still retired, or do you think he'll keep coming to offers?
He said maybe he's thinking about coming back in May.
Dana, just to follow up to that, what was that conversation like? Was that literally today, this afternoon, or
it was? It was right. It was when Demetrius Johnson and Benavidez were walking in.
Text, or was that actual conversation?
No, face to face. Yeah.
Oh, so he was here.
Yeah.
And what is that dealing with a fighter, you know, like Diaz? Is that something where you kind of try to, you know, negotiate on the fly, look him in the eye, try to talk?
No, it's not even about negotiating. I mean, he's under contract. It's about, do you want to fight or do you not want to fight? You know, obviously the Diaz brothers are very unique individuals to deal with. But you either want to fight or you don't want to fight. You know, what you don't do is you don't pressure a guy to fight that says he's just not interested in fighting. Because in this business, you better be interested in fighting or you don't belong here. You know, you should be taking time off until you get that fire back. You got to have it or you shouldn't do it.
Then I just want to ask you about the Castillo-Barboza fight. You said on Twitter that you thought that should be like scored as a draw.
That was a draw. Yeah. Listen. If there was ever a round that was 10-8, it was that first round. That first round was closer to a 10-7 than a 10-9. One judge had it right, and the other judges had it wrong. That fight was a draw, and it was pretty easy to score. You could, I mean. I know I'm a little off with score. No, we're all not the same on scoring sometimes, but is there anybody that didn't think that first round was a 10-8? He was almost finished in the first round. The only thing that was landed, I think he landed that up kick Barboza did in that first round. I think it landed. I don't know 100%, but even if it did, it's still a 10-8. And if he didn't, he literally didn't land anything the whole round, and he almost got finished. So if you score that a 10-8, that fight's a draw.
And Dana, just to clarify, you're still looking for an opponent for Condit?
Yes.
Any chance Tyron Woodley or Jake Ellenberger? Will we narrow down the list at all? Or
I don't know. I got to go back to the drawing board and figure it out. I like the Diaz Condit fight for the rematch. See if Condit accepted immediately, wanted the fight, and I didn't get it done.
And moving back a day, did you find any sense of like bittersweetness about the announcement that came yesterday about GSP vacating the belt and then rolling right into this big network event?
Yeah, no, there's nothing bittersweet. I mean, it is what it is. I don't get emotional about that kind of stuff. You know, George wants, like I was just saying about Nick, you have to want to fight. You have to want to fight. If you're not, you know, wanting to fight, it's not burning inside you. I got guys that'll text me, you know, like maniacs. I want to fight. I want to fight. I want to fight. If you don't have that, you don't want it, you should take time off. So I got no problem with that.
Just generally, a lot of people are worried, you know, asking questions about its effect on the business, on the UFC's business. How would you answer that question?
I hear that all the time. I mean, George St. Pierre was out for over a year. You know, is it awesome when he's not fighting? No, it's not awesome. But you know, he's a guy who brings in big numbers. But you know, we do what we do. Everybody was saying, "What are you guys going to do when Chuck Liddell retires? You guys are in big trouble. What are you going to do when this guy retires? That guy's retired." People retire. That's life. That's sports. That's the way it goes. You know, we all know there's no. I say it all the time. I say it to these guys all the time. Small window of opportunity to perform, compete, and do great things. And your time. And then the other thing too. Some people have defied the odds, like Anderson Silva and Mark Hunt and people. This is a young man's game. A young man's game. This business, and people come and go. You know. No, I'm not saying, I didn't say George St. Pierre. Yeah. He's rich. He can do whatever the hell he wants to do. You know what I mean? He's got some fuck you money. He can do whatever he wants.
Dana, did you get the sense over here, the call with, or the discussion with Nick, did you get the sense that to get motivated he wanted a title shot? That's what.
Oh, yeah, no, he definitely said that, yeah. He said, I'll fight the winner of Hendricks and Lawler. I said, well, you're ranked number 10. It kind of doesn't work that way.
Is there frustration at times that judges seem so, you know, they really don't want to do 10-8 rounds no matter.
No, I never get frustrated about judging or reffing or any of those things. Yeah, listen, the one thing that I really respect, the athletic commission here couldn't have been more fantastic. The executive director, the first thing he said to me is, listen, we put the best on for this card, and you know how much I appreciate that. That really does mean a lot to me. The state of California and the executive director here, you know, is thinking that way, and I'm sure these guys appreciate it. I mean, that's all we ask for. That's what we want. We want to make sure that when a decision is made, it's fair, and you know, I don't want to dive into these guys and get into it, but I mean, like I said, that was closer to a 10-7 than it was a 10-9. So it happens.
I just wanted to ask you, what was going on with the guy wearing a price tag?
Yeah, how'd you like that one? That was fantastic, right?
What the hell was that?
What that was UFC Amateur Hour. We have a guy backstage who polices all the things, you know, when you got a guy going out there. First of all, if it's not bad enough that he's out there with basketball shorts on, okay? How about he's got the price tag still on the shorts during the fight? Yeah. So
Why didn't he have his
pretty
fight?
Embarrassing. And,
why didn't he have his fight shorts with him? What was going on with, with Cody?
Cody. I mean, I don't know. It was that's one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. And it's even weirder that we let it happen.
And is it correct that he didn't have a mouthpiece either, or somebody had to give him a mouthpiece?
I have no idea, but it wouldn't shock me. I wouldn't be surprised. Didn't we have this conversation once? It's like deja vu. Didn't this happen with him once? He didn't have a mouthpiece or something? Maybe you're thinking of last time. Did somebody say that tonight? I don't know. Maybe he was going to fight in his jeans and said, well, maybe I should get some shorts. I don't know, man. Cody McKenzie's a strange dude, but it's not Cody McKenzie's fault that that happened tonight. That's the UFC's fault, and it's not to mention the fact that we're here for a show on Fox, and it's pretty damn embarrassing. Pretty embarrassing.
The major sports agencies, NFL, they have strict uniform policies that oftentimes warrant fines. Is this a learning lesson, or is this something that's going to be
Well, it's the first time something like this has happened, you know. Like I said, I could not be more embarrassed by this than I am. It's very, very embarrassing and very amateur. I don't even know what to say. Yeah. We're stupid, yes. Yeah, we're stupid. We're stupid. You know, I don't even know what to do. Yeah, I don't know. I was pissed. But anyway.
For Uri, you took a moment right before you stepped in the cage to kind of acknowledge the crowd, and then it was crazy after the victory. Can you just talk about what it was like putting on that performance and doing it here in front of this crowd?
Man, it means a lot. This is a community that's really had to come together as of late to get behind the Kings. You know, we're going to get a new arena in this place. Hopefully, you know, I'll get the chance to fight in the new arena. But Sacramento as a community has really come together to see the greater good. So to have all of us fighting here and to have such a great response and to put on a great show was awesome, man. I'm pretty pumped about it.
Is that it? No more questions?
That was the most uncomfortable silence.
One
I've heard in a
more.
while.
Nick Coppin with Oakdale Leader. How you doing, Uriah? Question is, on that first takedown with McDonald, how much stronger did you feel with him on top, or did you get a feel of his ground game right there? Then on the second one, obviously, you put him to the canvas, but what did you feel in the first round with McDonald on the ground?
You know, I felt like he's really good at stalling in that position. I made a statement about him being you know, one of the more one-dimensional guys I've fought in a while, but he's good at what he does. He was just holding on for dear life and just lull in action. So I just realized that, you know, I was gonna have to get creative to open him up and like I said, get those punches going, which I planned on doing from the get-go. I wasn't expecting. I didn't even realize I took him down. I watched the replay. I'm like, how the heck did I end up on this guy? But I threw a high kick in the head and then I took him down. So I didn't, you know, you black out when you're going on instincts, really. I mean, you know what you're doing in the moment, but when you have so much drilling and repetition in your training regimen, you don't really realize what you're doing until you go watch it. So yeah, I feel like he still needs to. I think it might be good for that guy to get out a little bit. You know, he's in his little bubble right there, and get out a little bit. You know, and I think he's got so much potential and a great team, but I feel like he could bring more.
Before I wrap this up, I wanted to clear something up that came out today. You know, when George St. Pierre did his press conference, he talked about how they were telling him he couldn't come to the press conference. So I don't know, for those of you that were there that night, I came out and said George St. Pierre left to the hospital. My PR people told me that he had gone to the hospital in an ambulance, and then when he was trying to go to the press conference, the doctors were telling him no, that he had to go to the hospital, and he was saying no, I want to go to the press conference. You know, we don't tell guys you can't go to the press conference. Never told guys you can't go, especially George St. Pierre. Nobody's going to tell George St. Pierre after a title fight that he can't go to the press conference. So I just wanted to clear that stupidity up. There's always some conspiracy theory like, you know, I was mad so he wasn't allowed to come to the press conference, and, you know, a little bit was lost in translation there when George was telling that story. Do you guys have any more questions? Is that it? We done? Happy holidays, everybody, and be safe. We'll see you on the 28th. Thank you very much.